All right, today we're jumping into Broadcom. They just had an absolutely monster quarter, and it's all being driven by the AI boom. But it's not just about the eye-popping numbers. There's a really specific high-stakes strategy going on behind the scenes that shows exactly how they plan to win the future of AI. So let's dive in.
Okay, first up, the headline number. And wow, Broadcom brought in a record $19.3 billion in revenue for Q1. That didn't just meet expectations, it completely blew past them. But as impressive as that is, that's not even the real story here. The real story is how they're doing it.
So where is all this growth coming from? Well, you can see it right here. The overall business did great, but the AI part of it was basically strapped to a rocket. It more than doubled year over year to $8.4 billion. This isn't just an engine for the company. At this point, it's the engine.
And that brings us to this. I mean, just a wild statement from CEO Hock Tan. Over $100 billion from AI chips alone, just 2 years from now. Yeah, you heard that right. That is not a typo. So the big question is, how on earth do they think they're going to pull that off?
All right, let's dig into the numbers a bit more, because that's what's fueling all this confidence.
I mean, look at this. The strength is just across the board. Total revenue, up almost 30%. Profitability, cash flow, everything's pointing up. But every single one of these numbers is being turbocharged by that one line item, AI revenue, with its 106% explosion. It's not just a rising tide lifting all boats, it's a full-on tidal wave. Okay, back to that crazy $100 billion forecast. How real is it? Well, it turns out this isn't just them throwing a number at the wall. There's a very specific plan here, and it is already firing on all cylinders.
And here's the kicker. This isn't some one-hit wonder. They're actually predicting that the growth is going to speed up. For the next quarter, they're calling for a blistering 140% year-over-year jump. The momentum is not just there, it's building.
So what's the secret sauce here? Well, it all comes down to a really focused and frankly kind of exclusive strategy for how they make their AI chips.
They've got these things they call XPUs. Think of them less like off-the-shelf parts and more like custom-built engines for AI. You can't just go out and buy one. Nope. These are designed from the ground up in deep partnerships with just a handful of giant companies to do one thing perfectly: run their specific AI models.
And this table just spells it out beautifully, right? The competition is out there making one-size-fits-all chips, selling to as many people as possible. Broadcom's doing the complete opposite. They're acting like a private, in-house custom shop for the true VIPs of the AI world. They're not playing the volume game, they're playing the partnership game.
And who's in this VIP club? Oh, just some of the biggest names in the entire industry. We're talking about Google, Anthropic, Meta, and now even OpenAI is on board. Plus, 2 other massive players they won't even name. So you see, they're not betting on the whole AI field. They're betting on the champions.
Now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, can't these giants just build their own chips? And that's a great question, but the CEO, Hock Tan, he has a pretty blunt answer. He basically dismisses those efforts as science projects. Because, look, designing one chip that works in a lab is one thing, but manufacturing hundreds of thousands of them, on time, with near-perfect quality, that's the real challenge. And that's where Broadcom's decades of experience give them a massive edge.
But here's the thing. The chips are only half the battle. Having the fastest engines in the world doesn't matter if you don't have a road to drive them on. And that brings us to the other pillar of Broadcom's AI dominance, networking.
And don't think for a second that networking is some small side business for them. Just look at this. In the next quarter, they expect networking gear to make up a whopping 40% of their total AI revenue. If the XPUs are the engines, this is the superhighway they all run on.
And just like with their chips, they have a huge tech lead here. They've got the fastest data center switches on the market. And get this, their tech is so good that it lets customers use cheaper, lower power copper cables instead of expensive fiber optics for a lot of the connections. When you're building a data center the size of a city and every watt and every dollar counts, that is a game-changing advantage.
Okay, so let's pull back one last time and see how this incredible AI engine fits into the whole Broadcom machine. You can really think of Broadcom as having 2 sides. There's the semiconductor business we've been talking about, which is where all that explosive AI growth is happening. And then there's this massive, incredibly steady software business built around their huge acquisition of VMware. The software growth might look flat, but man, is it a stable cash cow.
And this isn't some dusty old legacy business.
Now, they position this as the absolutely essential software layer that all these big companies need to actually run and manage all this new AI hardware. It's the bedrock that the entire AI revolution is being built on top of.
And when you combine these two businesses, you get an absolute financial fortress. I mean, they generated $8 billion in free cash in a single quarter. They have over $14 billion in the bank. That's the kind of financial firepower that lets you fund whatever R&D you want and lock down your supply chain for years.
So when you boil it all down, this is the play. Broadcom isn't betting on the entire AI industry. They're making a concentrated, strategic bet that they can become the absolutely indispensable partner to the 6 most important players in the game. And right now, that bet is paying off in a spectacular way. The only question is, in a race this fast, this unpredictable, is tying your entire fate to just a handful of champions the ultimate winning move?